we can see in the screen, we're always talking the 4th edition, 5 days, we are now on Wednesday, the 3rd day, of full of knowledge exchange, more than 200 speakers, 3 ways to join on-site, virtually, live, on demand. More than 20 countries, that means 20 hubs that are connecting and sometimes transmitting, 13 time zones all over the world, more than 60 sessions, more than 800 participants, and we can say greenhouse gas emission 100% offset. But we are now already in the 4th edition of the Showtime. We're kind of accustomed to the nervous of camera, the lights, the colleagues, everything that is going on. But for sure, we will have new mistakes to make. So we kindly ask you for your patience and complicity in this time.
That is very, very true, so bear with us. Just for the ones of you that are maybe new to this format, the Changing Transport Showtime is transmitted throughout the Transport and Climate Change Week from Tuesday to Thursday, and we do that in the Berlin morning at 8 a.m. and then again in the afternoon, in the Berlin afternoon at 3 p.m. to accommodate our participants from Asia and Latin America. And in the Changing Transport Showtime, we feature different contributions. So we will show you videos that were submitted by our participating countries. They recorded videos about the transport sector, about how they tackle climate change. And also we have contributions from NGOs, from international organizations, and also from research. And from time to time, we try to have a live guest either in the studio or remotely with us. And without further ado, we actually want to get into, well, the interactive part, because of course, if you know the platform by now, you know that we try to make it interactive. So make sure that you fill out your delegate profile, that we can help you find a match of other experts, other people that work on something that is maybe of interest to you. You can use the text for that. You can insert what you're looking for or the expertise you have. Then we have other features, like if we have a technical problem like Ernesto mentioned before, for example, a video that doesn't show, then just be sure to check out the Mobility Movies Theater. There you will find all the country presentations uploaded for you to watch them later. And right now, we want to try out a poll with you. We have the poll of the day. Every time in the Changing Transport Showtime, we show a poll in the beginning and to see the results at the end of the showtime. So you have time throughout the whole hour to respond to that. I will show you here on this slide how that works. Right next to the live stream from where you're watching us probably, you will find a tab that says poll. Click on there, click on where it says Changing Transport Showtime, and you'll be able to answer the following question. Let's see. We are interested. What would you put your money on? Electric mobility, power to X, or the old or convenient, or well, the internal combustion engine? If you imagine the future of mobility. That is it. You have the whole hour to answer that. And now we go into the second, well, interactive part. That is the quiz.
The quiz segment. So we will share with you a question regarding hydrogen. We were starting yesterday the Dry Hydrogen Hour, and we want to share with you what is the green hydrogen. This is hydrogen that is color green in order to make it visible. That happens sometimes with natural gas to make it that you can smell. We can put something to make it green, or hydrogen, the second option, that is produced powered by renewable energy without CO2 emissions. Second option, hydrogen that is collected as a byproduct from biogas production. Or the fourth option, natural hydrogen that can be found in nature, primary energy. Which one would be the correct answer? You do have 1, 2, 3 seconds to answer. Please, Nadia, tell us which is the correct answer. You can see hydrogen that is produced, powered by renewable energy without CO2 emission. It's why it's called green hydrogen? That was the first question. We have a second one that has to do with freight. Freight accounts for 40% of global GHG emissions in transport. However, how many countries, is the question, how many countries have included freight-related transport activities in their second NDC? How many countries? 20%, first option, 40%, a little bit bigger, or more than 50%. If it is so important, should be a big number, 20, 25, 40, more than 50. Let's see in 1, 2, 3 seconds the answer. 25% were disappointed. We should have think that a little bit higher than this. Well, that was the quiz segment. We share these two questions with you. And now we need to open a break, open a segment, because you see us here, we are working for 3 days on screen that you can see, but this event has been planned for more than a year, and there are many colleagues all over the world working for that, and we want to show you some faces of them. So we will share a screen with some faces, you can see them now, all over the world, in Asia, in Africa, and Latin America. Those are the colleagues that made the connection in the region, responsible for the hubs, responsible for many workshops, for many sessions. So those colleagues need to be acknowledged because of their work.
Very, very true, Ernesto. Thank you very much. We now also want to thank the 3 companies that are the backbone of this event. We as GIZ are trying our best to get everything together to make this as enjoyable for you as possible, but without the support of these companies, that would definitely not be possible. So first of all, we have SE Concept. They are the ones that are giving the translation to all our program. I think now that you watch this in Spanish, you are getting the live translation from English to Spanish, but we also have it from Spanish to English and sometimes from English to French, French to English. So you see, this is what enables communication with the whole world. Very, very important. And then secondly, we have Sendewerk. They are very important as well, because without them you wouldn't be seeing us right now. They're making sure that this production side of things, of the Transport and Climate Change Week this year, that makes this so special, that makes this a hybrid event, is working, and they're doing a really incredible job to work with us and to bring together all the different channels, all the different material that we are producing, and also dealing with Ernesto and me as hosts for you. And then thirdly, we have Platz, and the team of Platz, which is providing us the platform that you are watching us from. They are the reason that you can have all these features, that you see so many functions on the platform, and therefore a heartfelt thank you to those 3 companies. Thank you very, very much. And now we actually want to give you a little bit of a backstage insight into the work of the interpreters. They recorded a video, I think yesterday afternoon, from their work, and we want to share that with you. Enjoy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a short film from Cologne. I am Jens Jaspert, one of the members of the team of interpreters providing simultaneous translation to the International Transport and Climate Change Week 2021. I like to show you where we work and what we do on a daily basis here. So I am entering the studios of SE Concept, and I'd like to introduce to you our technical staff. On the one hand, the sound engineer in chief, Thomas, and on his right side, we have Nicholas. He is now checking on the signal coming from Berlin. You see the conference is going on. Simultaneous translation in French, English and Spanish is being provided from here. So we get the signal from Berlin. We add the 3 languages version. And by the way, the team of interpreters are getting some coffee and drinks. But where is the real work being done? Well, I'd like to invite you to accompany me to the backgrounds of the technical work. Here we have the booths, we have the different interpreters working. So if I enter one of the booths, I see my Spanish colleagues working. And now I'm entering the room of my colleague Petra de Dolter, who is now in working. I should not disturb it too much. I hope this was an interesting insight in our daily work. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a successful week. Thank you. Bye-bye. This has been a pleasure to see you. Bye-bye.
Okay, and now let us welcome Daniel Bongardt, Program Director. And there is something we need to remember. Never ask difficult questions to the boss and when it is in live. So we will try to make it very friendly, Daniel. You will see there is a word cloud. You can pick up there some interesting thing that happened yesterday. But you can tell us, well, how do you feel? We are in the middle of the Transport and Climate Change Week. Are we good in terms of participation, contribution, workshop, content? How do you feel on that?
Thank you for the question, Esther, but wait, I still have to answer your poll. But I won't tell you what I've just have voted for because I want to earn a lot of money. Thank you for the question. I think yesterday was the Avoid Day, and so that was quite interesting because we had many different events on urban planning. We had urban freight as one of the big topics. One of your questions was also related to this. And we were talking about different things, and maybe one highlight I have kept in mind was from one of the regional programs, and that was on a workshop, so where colleagues were walking with their mobile phones while having the workshop, and it was happening in Eastern European hub.
That sounds very interesting. And I heard something about a coordination and exchange meeting related with the agencies that implement IKI project. Tell us something about this meeting.
Yeah, this was just taking place a couple of minutes ago, or it's maybe still ongoing, or they are just in the closing between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. here in German time. And the German Environmental Ministry, they are funding the International Climate Initiative, so-called IKI. And so they, every year in the Transport Week, they organize a meeting with the implementing organizations, such as GIZ, but also other partners we have here in the room, ITDP, ICCT. And so they are meeting and exchanging, and it's facilitated by the IKI Secretariat, the so-called ZUG company. And it's quite interesting to see. And maybe one figure I brought from that meeting, quite impressive. Currently, the BMU is funding 17 transport projects, currently ongoing transport projects, with a total volume of 120 million euro.
Very impressive. I have further questions, but I think we are a little bit short on time. Sorry, Daniel. So I do think that we have to look for the first country presentation. That is, if I'm not mistaken, from Georgia.
Welcome to the 4th Transport and Climate Change Week. I'm happy that Georgia is a part of this very important and global event. Georgia, being very vulnerable to climate change, works hard to reduce its negative consequences. By joining the Paris Agreement in 2015, Georgia committed to reduce its national greenhouse gas emissions and contribute to the low-carbon development of our economies. Currently, Georgia has already updated its nationally determined contribution and communicated to the UNFCCC. We have updated target, which is more ambitious, and we commit to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 35% compared to 1990 level, unconditionally. For the implementation of the NDC, Georgia has developed a climate change strategy and action plan. The document highlights the transport sector as a key emitting sector and identifies concrete measures to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. Georgia receives substantial support from German government on climate change policy making, and we thank German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development for this support.
The transport sector is one of the largest sources of greenhouse gas emissions. Current projections for the South Caucasus show almost a doubling of transport-related emissions by 2030. Therefore, Mobility for Cities focuses on the entire region to achieve one goal: promoting sustainable urban mobility. The regional programme, Mobility for Cities, is funded by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development and is implemented by GIZ in close cooperation with the KfW and the Transformative Urban Mobility Initiative. Easy access and good coverage of public transport have a major impact on the citizens' quality of life. Mobility for Cities supports city administrations in the South Caucasus in designing and implementing safe, affordable and accessible public transport services for all. Supported by international partners, it's not only the bus fleet that's being modernised in Tbilisi, the workforce is also becoming more diverse. Madonna Dalakishvili is working as a bus driver for Tbilisi Transport Company.
I started working for the company in 2017. When I came to the company, only one woman worked here. A few months later, the company developed a project and announced a competition to hire women. I know that female drivers work in transport companies. Bus lanes have been made in the city in the last years. Consequently, our work has improved greatly. We no longer have to lose time in traffic jams, meaning that buses have improved operation according to the defined schedule. All of this improves passenger service, which is very important for us.
Mobility for Cities closely works with local partners in Tbilisi and Batumi. This includes preparation of a concept for a sustainable urban mobility corridor in Tbilisi, a coordinated traffic light system, and other activities that improve the traffic flow in the city and prevent air pollution caused by congestions. To further mitigate climate change, Mobility for Cities promotes active mobility with cycling master plans for Batumi and Tbilisi, as well as a walkability concept and a safe way to school program for Batumi. Urban mobility measures need to be evaluated and further developed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in the long term. Mobility for Cities supports the development of a curricula to deepen the teaching of urban mobility topics at universities. The programme establishes a collaboration between Technical University Dresden and Georgian Technical University. Mobility for Cities, shaping tomorrow's urban transport.
I think that was a really, really great video showing a very diverse perspective on transport. We had there gender equality, this public transport, women bus driver promotion program, then also cooperation between the technical universities of Dresden and Georgia. And also we heard about the NDC update that Georgia submitted already. And I want to let you know that Georgia doesn't only have this economy-wide target that was mentioned in the video of 35% greenhouse gas reduction by 2030 in comparison to 1990, but also a transport target actually. They do want to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions in the transport sector by 15% in comparison to the reference level. I find that really, really great, and I think that is a good example for other countries. But now we jump from Southeast Europe to Latin America and check out Bicistema.
Hola, buen día. ¿Cómo van? Mi nombre es Laura Rojas y es un gusto estar aquí acompañándoles. Muchas gracias por la invitación. Yo soy arquitecta y soy fundadora y directora de Bicistema Arquitectura y Urbanismo, una oficina dedicada a la planeación y diseño de cicloinfraestructura en contextos urbano-arquitectónicos. Y en Bicistema estamos convencidas de que la bicicleta cambia y une a las personas. Es por eso que hoy queremos contarles algunos aspectos específicos relacionados al cambio, a la movilidad ciclista y al género. ¿Por qué? Porque es importante y tiene implicaciones para el futuro de las ciudades en América Latina. Quiero contárselos en 3 componentes de la movilidad ciclista que consideramos importantes desde Bicistema, y estos son la recuperación de espacios públicos conexos a la cicloinfraestructura, las herramientas de fortalecimiento de la planeación urbana y las estrategias de promoción del transporte no motorizado, y algunos aspectos a tener en cuenta con relación al género. Para empezar, con relación a la recuperación de espacios públicos conexos a la cicloinfraestructura con enfoque de género, es importante reconocer cuál es el estado de esos espacios públicos y por qué actualmente en algunas ciudades de América Latina son inseguros para las mujeres. Es importante reconocerlos con criterios y variables de género y con datos asociados a la medición de la inseguridad en las ciudades, sobre todo para las mujeres, las personas mayores, la primera infancia, grupos étnicos y comunidades LGTBIQ. También es importante incentivar en este componente la participación activa de las mujeres y de las niñas. ¿Para qué? Para que con su opinión y sus ideas sean transformados estos espacios. Y transformar estos espacios públicos con enfoque de género puede generar transformaciones importantes para entornos urbanos que por lo general tienen estos deterioros en el espacio público asociado a la cicloinfraestructura y que son determinantes a la hora de que las mujeres, la niñez, las personas mayores tomen decisiones sobre el modo de transporte que quieren utilizar, sobre todo el uso de la bicicleta. Como segundo componente están las herramientas de fortalecimiento de los procesos de planeación urbana. Y para esto es importante tener en cuenta que hay que crear nuevas herramientas diferentes a las herramientas de planeación urbana que tenemos. ¿Para qué? Para que podamos hacer un cambio y hacer una transversalización de este enfoque de género a través de otras diferentes formas de hacer planeación urbana, sobre todo para que estos nuevos temas sean integrados de manera óptima en los procesos tradicionales de planeación urbana en América Latina, integrando de forma activa a la ciudadanía, a organizaciones sociales, a gobiernos locales, a todas las personas e instituciones que deban estar involucradas en la transversalización de este enfoque, utilizando este tipo de herramientas que contengan los diferentes protocolos de atención y sanción de violencias para las mujeres en el espacio público, que también contengan diversos estudios de caso y que puedan hacerse juegos de roles para que todas las personas puedan entender desde los diferentes roles que juegan las personas en el espacio público, sobre todo las mujeres, las personas mayores y la niñez, entender desde diferentes puntos de vista qué sucede allí. Y también replicar estas herramientas es importante incluso en entornos de confinamiento, en entornos virtuales. ¿Por qué? Porque es muy importante que la planeación urbana se siga transformando para tener procesos de urbanismo con perspectiva de género y así poder implementarlos en las oficinas, en los gobiernos locales, y no solamente allí, sino con organizaciones sociales, instituciones académicas. Por último componente que les quería traer hoy a contarles es las estrategias de promoción del transporte no motorizado y la importancia de que en estas estrategias y en proyectos como los anteriores y todo tipo de proyecto asociado a la movilidad ciclista contenga un plan de acción de género. ¿Para qué? Para que se pueda diagnosticar, diseñar, ejecutar, evaluar y sostener las acciones que van a empezar a integrar estos componentes y criterios de género en estos procesos de estrategias de promoción, recuperación de espacio público o herramientas de fortalecimiento de la planeación urbana. ¿Cómo? Generando alianzas para lograr estos objetivos, como lo he dicho durante este espacio, con las organizaciones sociales, las instituciones académicas, las entidades privadas, la ciudadanía y los gobiernos locales para que la transversalización del enfoque sea realmente de manera integral. Y estos procesos, por último, deben ser procesos que sean de abajo hacia arriba. ¿Qué quiere decir esto? Que sean basados en las opiniones y en las necesidades de las mujeres, de las personas mayores que tienen diversas necesidades de movilidad distintas a la hora de tomar decisión sobre el uso de la bicicleta en el espacio público y como medio de transporte urbano. Esto era todo lo que les quería contar sobre el cambio de la movilidad ciclista y el género. Muchas gracias y espero que sea una información de utilidad. Hasta la próxima.
Many, many thanks, Laura Rojas. Bicistema is in the planning and design of cycling infrastructure. Las bicicletas cambian y unen a la gente. Bicycles change and bring people together. What a nice sentence. Then Laura present and explain change in cycling mobility with a gender perspective, an approach that is based in 3 components. One is recovery of public spaces, the other one is tools to strengthen urban planning, and the third one is strategies to promote non-motorized transport. But now let's put some more color, some good backstage music, and we will travel to Paraguay.
El El sector transporte en Paraguay tiene claramente identificadas, bueno, por un lado el inventario de los gases de efecto invernadero emitidos por los distintos sectores. En Paraguay el transporte tiene aproximadamente, junto a energía, el 12%. La generación de energía eléctrica es casi 100% limpia.
Nosotros aquí en Paraguay estamos proponiendo priorizar 4 medidas de mitigación para el año 2030. En primer lugar, una sustitución creciente de combustibles fósiles por biocombustibles. En segundo lugar, la conducción eficiente para un transporte público y un transporte de cargas. En tercer lugar, la sustitución creciente de vehículos convencionales por vehículos eléctricos e híbridos. Estamos teniendo varios planes ya que van a ser llevados a cabo en el corto a mediano plazo que apuntan hacia este objetivo. Y en cuarto lugar, algo que cada vez va a ir cobrando más preponderancia, la aplicación del hidrógeno verde. Tanto lo que tiene que ver con la aplicación del hidrógeno verde como lo que tiene que ver con la electromovilidad, con la sustitución de los vehículos convencionales por vehículos eléctricos e híbridos, se prevén que vayan teniendo un porcentaje creciente de aumento, que va a ir desde un 0,01 de participación hasta tratar de llegar al 33,3%, o sea, un tercio de la flota, tanto de la flota de transporte público como también de los vehículos individuales para el año 2030. Como ministerio, nosotros aquí queremos destacar que el transporte público actualmente forma parte o aporta, por llamarlo de alguna manera, entre comillas, aproximadamente el 90% de las emisiones del sector energético nacional, principalmente en lo que hace a dióxido de carbono y lo que tiene que ver con óxido de nitrógeno. Pero también, eso es lo que hace a gases de efecto invernadero, pero también el transporte público está aportando, está emitiendo gases denominados o sustancias denominadas contaminantes atmosféricos, que si bien no son gases de efecto invernadero, son altamente dañinos para la salud, como por ejemplo el material particulado e incluso el azufre.
El trabajo en conjunto con GIZ nos ha aclarado el panorama. Hemos entendido muchos componentes y eso ha servido para que distintos sectores como que mejoren y pongan una precisión mayor en cuanto al enfoque y a partir de ese enfoque las tareas que se están desarrollando.
Sin lugar a dudas, la cooperación internacional tiene un rol importantísimo en pro del cumplimiento de los compromisos climáticos del Paraguay en general y por sobre todo en lo que tiene que ver con el sector de energía y transporte. Esto incluye lo que venimos haciendo con GIZ a través del Plan Maestro de Movilidad y Transporte Sostenible, que tiene como objetivo el fomento de la movilidad eléctrica en el transporte público urbano multimodal del Paraguay. Con este proyecto se pretende reducir las emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero a nivel nacional. Como Dirección Nacional de Cambio Climático y Ministerio del Ambiente en general, ¿verdad? Nosotros acá en Paraguay soñamos con un transporte que pueda aprovechar las potencialidades que tiene el Paraguay. El Paraguay es un país absolutamente rico en producir energía eléctrica. Eso es una potencialidad que puede ser usado en mejorar el transporte, primeramente, y mejorar por sobre todo el transporte urbano. Primeramente, tanto el transporte individual como toda la flota de transporte público. Nosotros aquí, y soñar no cuesta nada, dicen, ¿verdad? Pero soñamos que aquí al 2050 el transporte urbano e interurbano, por lo menos de las áreas metropolitanas de Asunción, de Ciudad del Este, de Encarnación, sea eléctrico, con diferentes modalidades, ¿verdad? Buses eléctricos, trenes de cercanía y otro tipo de modalidades que puede tranvías y o trolebuses o otras opciones que puedan permitir utilizar esa gran ventaja eléctrica que tenemos en movilizar a la gente en todo lo que significa el servicio del transporte. Nosotros soñamos con un transporte para el 2050 con bajas emisiones, pero que no sea dependiente en lo absoluto de los combustibles fósiles. Ese es nuestro sueño Nuestro sueño es un transporte consolidado, sustentado en la electromovilidad y los biocombustibles.
Demostrar que los resultados finales no solo van a ser la cuestión de reducción de emisiones, sino también la cuestión referida a eficiencia, por lo tanto, competitividad en general para los productos nacionales, tanto de consumo interno como de comercio exterior.
So we heard here from Paraguay about their dream of a consolidated transport system based on electromobility and biofuels, and also this very strong quote of, well, we dream, and dream doesn't cost anything. I really like this. I hope that their dream comes true, that 2050 they have an urban transport electrified system in their big metropolitan areas. And they also talk about other mitigation measures that they want to deploy that reminded me actually of, well, for one, our poll, because they were talking about green hydrogen, among other things. So take a look at the poll again, and also take the chance, don't miss out on our hydrogen hour that will take place today at 1 p.m. Santiago de Chile time. Make sure to be there. And now we follow up with a video by la Municipalidad de Montes de Oca. Have fun.
En la búsqueda de ciudades sostenibles, el Cantón de Montes de Oca se planteó como meta el desarrollo de estrategias y proyectos donde las personas se apropien del espacio público y se contribuya en paralelo a mejorar las calidades socioambientales de la ciudad y de las personas habitantes. El fomento y desarrollo del ciclismo urbano es una de las claves en esta tarea que desde el gobierno local hemos adquirido con mucho compromiso. ¿Cómo hemos logrado dar prioridad a proyectos de ciclovías cantonales? Trabajar por el bien común es uno de los factores de éxito del proyecto Fomento y Desarrollo de Ciclismo Urbano, que visionó una red de ciclovías para conectar Montes de Oca con Curridabat. El proyecto responde a las necesidades de la experiencia de las personas usuarias y a un enfoque educativo transversal. Con el equipo de trabajo se desarrollaron estrategias para recoger los insumos necesarios para las propuestas de diseño de la primera etapa y sus posteriores fases. Y no sería posible sin todos los aliados y aliadas estratégicas internacionales y nacionales para el financiamiento, diseño, comunicación y promoción de la red de ciclovías. ¿Qué beneficios ambientales trae implementar una ciclovía? En Montes de Oca buscamos impulsar la bicicleta y el ciclismo urbano entre las opciones de movilidad disponible para los habitantes y visitantes de Montes de Oca, al mismo tiempo que contribuimos con la huella verde país. La bicicleta favorece el medio ambiente y su uso común permite a las ciudades mitigar el impacto del cambio climático. La promoción de la bicicleta ayuda a contribuir al fortalecimiento del transporte no motorizado para disminuir así la contaminación sónica y atmosférica del cantón. ¿Qué beneficios sociales trae implementar una ciclovía? La bicicleta se convirtió en una aliada para el gobierno local de Montes de Oca y la creación de cicloinfraestructura responde al compromiso con la prioridad de jerarquía de la movilidad urbana sustentable. Una ciclovía nos permite promocionar entre la población nuevos hábitos de vida saludable, fomentar el acceso rápido a destinos de trabajo y educación, reducir costos económicos por gastos de gasolina o pasajes de traslado, y generar espacios que interpelen a la interacción e inclusión social, a la apropiación y la experimentación de la ciudad.
Montes de Oca, Pura Vida, Costa Rica. This was a cantonal project that developed a strategy where people take ownership of the public space. The preparation and development of urban cycling is one of the key elements in this strategy. And they also build a network of bike lanes that link Montes de Oca with Curridabat. At the end, they share with us environmental and social benefits of the sustainable urban mobility. Congratulations, Montes de Oca. And now we will need to cross the Andes, the Cordillera de los Andes, because we are flying to Chile, and we'll see some news from this country.
Bueno, desde el sector transporte tiene un rol crucial en la transición hacia la carbono neutralidad en Chile y también en el desarrollo sostenible. Las contribuciones determinadas, ¿cierto?, a nivel nacional, las NDC de Chile, implican transformaciones profundas en la esfera de la movilidad. Por ejemplo, de nuevas tecnologías limpias y soluciones de movilidad que permitan reducir progresivamente el uso de combustibles fósiles, y también el sector transporte es responsable de aproximadamente un cuarto de las emisiones totales en el país, lo cual no es menor. Y estas además aumentan considerablemente cada año. Por lo tanto, necesitamos tomar acciones concretas ya para cambiar esta tendencia.
Para la implementación de la electromovilidad en Chile, tuvimos que sortear 3 barreras principales. La primera fue la barrera tecnológica, que se refiere al desconocimiento que había respecto al funcionamiento de los buses eléctricos. Posteriormente, la segunda barrera que se superó en parte era la del costo. Las baterías de litio han bajado mucho de precio y eso permitió que el bus eléctrico sea cada vez más competitivo respecto al bus diésel. Y finalmente, la tercera barrera fue cómo financiar estos vehículos. Ahí hay que mencionar la iniciativa de los privados, que permitió crear un modelo de financiamiento innovador y sirvió de base para lo que estamos trabajando en este momento.
Bueno, la estrategia sin duda será un instrumento clave que orientará en materia de sostenibilidad ambiental, en materia de mitigación y también adaptación al cambio climático, con miras a un enfoque integrado en beneficio de la ciudad y sus habitantes.
El compromiso que ha hecho Chile en la NDC es bastante ambicioso, si bien creemos que es posible, y esto es tener el 100% del transporte público en las ciudades principales del país operando con buses eléctricos.
Para nosotros es una combinación de acciones. No es solo la electromovilidad, es la electromovilidad en el transporte público. Si lo que queremos son mejoras ambientales sustantivas, tenemos que resolver algunos otros aspectos como la congestión urbana. Y el uso del espacio vial tiene también un rol. Nuestro foco es la reconversión del sistema de transporte público en modo no contaminante, en condiciones de viaje de muy alto estándar, que liberen espacio para la circulación de las personas. La cooperación internacional y el rol de GIZ son clave. La cooperación internacional, además, es lo que nos da un marco. Cuando uno piensa en el año 2050, tiene distintas visiones y distintos sueños. Creo que la tecnología va a ser muy eficiente en el uso del espacio, muy limpio, modos de transporte amigables, muy flexibles, con una capacidad de gestión y uso de la ciudad muy superior a la que tenemos ahora. Yo veo ciudades grandes, pobladas, pero de vida muy agradable. El avance de la tecnología nos está enfrentando a una posibilidad real de un cambio muy sustantivo en la forma de viajar, de planificar y la forma de vivir la ciudad.
So from Chile, we heard about the very ambitious commitment of 100% electrification of urban public transport by 2040 and carbon neutrality by 2050. Well, this implies profound modifications of in electromobility and requires renewable energy. But we know that they're already on a good way. Santiago de Chile, or overall in Chile, I think, we have 784 electric buses already today. I find that very, very impressive. But of course, you also have to think beyond electrification. And we have a workshop today, I think at 4 p.m. Santiago de Chile time. I have to cheat a little bit on the times here. And that fits very, very well with this topic because it's called Beyond Electrification, Other Hot Topics for Public Transport in Latin America. So make sure to check that out. And before we come to that, we want to share a video with you by Trufi Association. If you have watched us yesterday, the Transport and Climate Change Week, you already saw a little bit about them in the second workshop that we had. But now let's hear from them.
Hi, I'm Christoph Hanse from Trufi Association. We are a social startup working on informal transport like it exists in South America, Africa, Asia. We want public transport worldwide to be as transparent and useful like in developed countries. We began 4 years ago in Bolivia and then brought our multi-modal journey planner open source. That made it possible that now many cities across the world are using it. We are digitizing bus lines and all other means of transport. And then with that, we can create a journey planner together with local entrepreneurs or the city that is of good use for many people. But now, let's take 5 minutes to reflect on the following question. What does transport change for a user when it has been digitized? To answer this question, I brought Leonardo with me. Hi, Leonardo.
Hi, Christoph, thank you. I'm Leonardo Gutierrez, responsible at Trufi for Latin America, and I live in Duitama, Colombia.
Cool. What's your link to transport?
I come from a family of bus manufacturers, and I have carried out the digitalization of the public transport of the system in Duitama, Colombia, and the implementation of the Trufi app that is a multimodal road planning in our city.
Cool, excellent. So what would we say? How do people change their usage of transport when bus lines are digitized and when they have a journey planner at their hands?
Mainly, the visitors can use the transport system now, which was previously reserved only for locals, and they were the only ones who knew about it. The users can now estimate the ETAs in places where it could never be done before. Thanks to digitalization, the different modes of transport, which usually disconnected from each other, can be integrated. For example, bicycles, bicycle sharing, electric micromobility, like a scooter or similar, and shared vehicles. We discovered and integrated roads that, due to the informality, were not taken into account in the city public transport and were used by few people. The data generated also by the system can be used by the authorities to improve the systems.
How was it in Duitama when you began the app? What did authorities of your city think about the app?
At the beginning, they didn't understand what it was all about. It was difficult to explain the importance of it, but then they became enthusiastic about the project and helped us, mainly because the city can use for transport planning and optimize routes all these data, and they thinking about the digital payment in the future, and it might be possible. Also, the drivers can share the position of the bus so that users have real-time info. It's very interesting for authorities. But Christoph, what do you think about the question?
I would like to cite 2 users that gave us their feedback. One of them was saying that this app totally changed his mental map of his hometown. So what he meant is that the app was giving totally new opportunities to him. In that case, he never knew that he could use a ferry on the way to his work. And the other user from Bolivia that gave us his feedback was saying, whenever I use the app, I feel like in Europe or the US. Of course, I mean, I don't want people to feel like in Europe or the US, but what the person meant was that the answer, the digital answer on like what would be the best route now to use, that was something that the person only knew from other countries. And that made us very proud. And I think that's the idea, that we have the same benefits everywhere, that public transport gets popular and people can really use it instead of their personal cars or taxis. Yes, thanks a lot also for you people watching this. To all people who are interested, we will be happy to share our knowledge and our methods with you. Just contact us. Thanks.
Many, many thanks, Christoph and Leonardo. And that was a very interesting way to present an organization. They organized an internal interview asking and answering the question one and the other. Trufi is a social organization, and they work on informal transport, and they developed this journey planner open source for buses, and they try to promote and increase the overall use of the buses with more information. Interesting to see the way they approach authorities trying to explain the benefits of this digital tool. Good work, Trufi. Now, we must remember that we mentioned many, many times electromobility, and electromobility is always linked, should be linked to renewable as a source for producing electricity. And it is time now to hear Anna Murdock, an interview in REN 21.
Exactly. Do we have Hannah already on the call?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, there you are. Hi, Hannah. So we will hear from you from REN 21, which is a think tank focused on renewable energy policies. And Hannah Murdock, that we have here as our guest, focuses on policy research and transport, and is the coordinator and lead author of the Renewable Global Status Report that she will present today. Thank you very, very much for being with us, for taking your time, Hannah. You will also be in the expert clinic later, but now we are very excited to hear about your presentation.
Thanks for the introduction. I have some slides. I guess that those are going to be shown at the same time. Thanks. So, as mentioned, I am Hannah Murdock, and I'm going to show some of the latest figures and trends in the transport sector, drawing from the Renewables 2021 Global Status Report, which REN 21 just released last week. So next slide, please. In case you're not familiar with REN 21, very briefly, we're the only renewable energy network at a global scale of passionate experts committed to the sustainable energy future. We're a multi-stakeholder organization made up of governments, NGOs, science and academia, international organizations, and industry associations. Next slide. So now jumping right in, while there's been really incredible progress over the past decade for renewables, the majority of that progress has been in the power sector. And this is despite a much higher share of the energy consumption in other sectors, particularly transport, which accounts for about 1/3 of total final energy consumption, and yet has the lowest share of renewable energy at about 3%. Next slide, please. Over the past decade, the share of renewable energy in the sector has grown by only about 1 percentage point, from about 2% 10 years ago to just over 3% today. And despite the increase in EVs in recent years, biofuels continue to make up the vast majority of the contribution to the sector, the renewable contribution. And also over this decade, energy demand in the sector has grown by about 22%, which is particularly problematic considering the sector continues to be 97% dependent on fossil fuels. Next slide. Transport has also seen by far the largest growth in energy demand compared to other sectors, nearly all of which has been met by fossil fuels. This figure shows the energy demand growth over the 5-year period leading up to 2018. And as you can see, the transport sector is not only seeing the most growth compared to other sectors, but also is in by far the worst shape in terms of dependency on fossil fuels. Next slide. In terms of targets, again, the picture for transport is worse than in other sectors. Nearly all 2020 targets for renewables in the transport sector had not been achieved according to the latest data. And the targets that had been set for 2020 as they were coming to term, the transport sector did not have later targets in place. About a third of the countries that had set targets did not set targets for 2025 or 2030. Next slide. Countries aren't meeting their targets in large part because they lack supportive policy frameworks, or because the policy frameworks that they have in place are not sufficient, effective, or they're not being enforced. The number of countries with support policies for biofuels in transport plateaued in 2017 at about 65 countries globally and has not increased since. Next slide, please. As mentioned before, electric vehicles can play a role in increasing the renewable share in transport, but only when they're powered by renewable electricity. EV policies and targets in general have lacked a direct link to renewable electricity, though. The targeted bans on fossil fuel vehicles are in place in just 19 countries, shown by the stars in this figure, but many of these countries lack national power targets altogether, or are only setting low targets for renewable shares. In terms of policies, there are only 3 countries globally that have an EV support policy with a direct link to renewable power. Next slide. When we talk about decarbonization of the sector, it seems the tendency in the transport world is to primarily focus on avoid and shift, or only on efficiency under improve, or only on EVs. And while all of these are undoubtedly crucial for the energy transition in the sector, it should now be clear that renewable energy cannot be left out of the equation. What's needed for decarbonization of the sector is policies focusing on all of these areas, and the inclusion of renewable energy as a key performance indicator under improve. Next slide. So a structural shift to renewables is required across all sectors to meet global climate goals, but progress is not going to be made unless we're tracking the right indicator. Progress towards climate and sustainable development goals can be tracked by using a simple key performance indicator of the renewable energy share. This indicator reflects developments in energy demand, energy conservation, energy efficiency, and emissions, as well as the renewable energy uptake and the reduction of fossil fuel use. Next slide. So finally, I'd invite you to check out the Renewables Global Status Report that we just released last week at REN21.net, and you'll find much more information on energy and the transport sector, as well as the full report, the summary for policymakers, and all figures and data available for download. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah. That was really, really interesting, and we are glad to have you on the Changing Transport Showtime, but also in the expert clinic later. Well, we learned now from you that 93% of energy needs of transport are met by fossil fuels, unfortunately. Let's take a look now at the poll and see how you participants answered. Where would you put your money on? Maybe we can show the poll slide now, and or the poll results, and see what you bet on.
Yeah, I was thinking where to put my money, and now we can see the results of the poll. Electromobility, very much linked to renewable, 60%. The people consider that we should put the money there. Power to X, 33%. And internal combustion engines, 6.7. It's very interesting to see that there are still people putting money in this traditional way. But I must say are very approximately the results we got this morning, because we have the same question in the poll. 60 electromobility, 33 power to X.
Well, and now let me show you the agenda for the rest of your day. So we, as the Changing Transport Showtime team, are opening the day for you, but there is much more to be done. I already mentioned we have the Hydrogen Hour from the global program that is focusing on how to make power-to-X production sustainable. But we will also have a couple of other workshops, like the one that I mentioned, Beyond Electrification, but also a workshop on MRV and towards clean and efficient heavy-duty vehicles. But we will have, right after the showtime, after a short break and the coffee break that you can also use to network, we have the expert clinic. And we have here today with us on stage Friedel Seelayer, a project advisor and also the coordinator for the Transport Week program. And he will tell us a little bit about the expert clinics. Friedel, what can you tell us?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, maybe congratulations. You're such a great team of hosts. I'm always glad to come back to the Showtime. So
thank you very much. We are glad to be here with you.
Yeah. So as you know, the Transport Week is all about practicing the art of knowledge exchange. And with every edition of the Transport Week, we come up with new, innovative formats for exchanging ideas and solutions for changing transport. And that is, for me, what the Expert Clinic is all about. It's one of such innovations.
And how does the Expert Clinic work, Friedel?
Well, the Expert Clinic, for the Expert Clinic, we have recruited a team of 29 very competent, experienced experts who cover a wide range of different areas of expertise. We have men, we have women, we have younger and more senior experts based in Asia, based in Latin America, based in Africa, based in Europe, based in the USA. So it's all about a diverse set of experts. But one thing they have in common, they are committed to changing transport. And they have been willing to offer for the Expert Clinic their expertise for 1 hour-long consultations today, completely free of charge. And now, before the Transport Week actually started, we asked the country delegations that participate in the Transport Week, which of these 29 experts would you like to book a consultation with? So we put the choice into the hands of our country delegations. They could decide, do I want to make use of this format or not? And if I want, then which of these 29 experts does match my transport need, my problem, who could provide an interesting perspective on the problem that I have in my transport system? And I'm really happy that the format has turned out to be successful because actually this morning already there were 6 consultations going on. I think Indonesia and Vietnam, Philippines, and also Kenya booked a consultation this morning. And this afternoon we have another 10 consultations coming up. So after the showtime, we will have the expert time.
Many, many thanks, Friedel. It's very interesting. All the people are talking here about the Expert Clinic. 6 consultations this afternoon, 10. We will join and see how it's going on today. And now it is time to say goodbye. We are finishing the transmission of this showtime in the afternoon time in Berlin. We will start again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We hope that you can join us, and we wish you can enjoy the rest of the day. Many, many thanks.